Hello and welcome to Build in Isolation. I'm your host, Danny Clayton, and this morning I've got a treat for you. A real injection of positivity. All around good guy, Grammy Award winning musician, Jason Mraz. Hello, Jason. How are you doing, my friend?
Are you multicasting right now?
I am. It's just doing a double camera work here. Oh,
I
isolation technology. How
I
it baffled us.
love it. I love it. You're multicasting, multitasking,
Mm.
and thank you for asking. I'm in the same boat, man. I'm learning how to be creative and still be promoting the creations, which are two kind of different things. Like when you're making something, your focus is on making the thing. And then eventually you have to look up and take your fruit to the farmer's market and kind of show people your delicious thing that you've made, or go to the craft fair and show them your folk art, whatever it is. So right now I feel like because we get to work from home, I get to do both,
Mm.
which is a bit mental because I try to do them seasonally, but whatever.
It's like
Uh-huh.
your music world and your farm life are so intertwined these days, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I did
Okay.
want to start things off straight away with your seventh album. I mean, it's coming out, Looking for the Good. It's
Yes.
almost the album that the world needs right now because we need to find some good. And I wanted to start things off by asking you, what is good in your world right now, Jason?
Music is always good. Music is always has been there since I was a little kid, and it's available to everyone. Even if you're not musically inclined, like you don't play music, there's still probably a favorite song that you have, right? Or it creeps up in your favorite movie and you don't realize it's the music that adds so much value to that scene. But I truly believe music is this magical thing that in a way it's our bird song. It's our nature to have these melodies and these rhythms and these tones that convey these messages. So for me, I look for the good in music. I always have since I was a little kid. And it helps me transform my life experience because it's a creative act. You're making something out of nothing. You're giving birth to a thing that's going to live outside of you and live in the world. So I'm always focused on that. And in the last 10 years at least, I had a transformation in my life where I realized the audience is giving me their greatest wealth. They give me their time and their attention. And I need to be respectful of that time and attention. So I need to write the kinds of songs that breathe life into beautiful things, or issues that I care about, or perspectives that I think can enhance one's life experience. So that has become kind of my soul work, is looking for the good in all situations and trying to craft a song and at the same time. And because singing and songwriting is a joy of mine, it only seems natural that when I write, it should be joyous because that's the state that I get out of music. That doesn't mean I always have a rainbow coming out of my ass, because I tend to turn to music in times of darkness when there's a melancholy or even this sense that I'm bored, which in quarantine and lockdown, we can fake ourselves out into thinking we're bored. It's really just because we don't have that spark of imagination or creativity occurring. So if I sit down at an instrument, a piano, an ukulele, and you hit it, that's the spark. Suddenly it makes a sound, it reverberates through the room. It's a vibration, and it's a good vibe if we align our heart with it and surf that sound wave and see where it wants to take us. So that's how I look for the good. I create things, and usually the thing that I'm creating is a song.
Mm. You just
Mm.
reminded me of a phrase, actually, and I hope I quote this correctly. Helen Keller, I think she said, "Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see shadow," which I
Mm.
think is a really profound line, and it's about finding positivity, and I think that from my experiences with this album, that's almost seems to be the message that you're giving people. To
Yes.
find the good. But I mean, you did mention, being in isolation and, keeping yourself active and playing music and keeping yourself happy. What else have you been doing to make sure that you're healthy and happy while in a lockdown state?
Mm. World peace starts within. I truly believe that. So, a practice of mindfulness and yoga and meditation is a great routine to help keep me mindful so that I can approach all of my activities, whether I'm alone or I'm reintegrating with society or having these conversations. I can be present and I can be healthy, because if I don't have those types of mindfulness practices for my mental health, then I could just be overwhelmed by self-doubt. I can avoid phone calls, basically retreat. And that only adds to the darkness and the shadow. So I love that quote you just mentioned. If I retreat and I ignore taking good care of my body, my spirit, it only increases the shadows. But when I have my little mindfulness practice and I do my little yoga routine, it just sets me off into a good day. So I do that. We live on a small little farm, which you alluded to a few minutes ago, and that is a healthy practice. I feel like actually getting down, putting your hands in the soil, eating some dirt. We're going through a microbiological crisis right now because there's this new virus that has never been seen. But I think the best way to live with the new virus in the air is to really eat as much organic food and be in nature as much as possible, because that just improves the healthy flora of fungi and viruses that are always out there doing what they do, so that we can improve our immunity to the ever-changing climate. So those are some of the things. Is that kind of what you were looking for in the answer?
Definitely. I mean, while we're talking about your farm, it does seem to be a really special place and a huge part of what makes you, you. I mean, even if we're listening to the second single you released, it almost seems like an ode to Mother Earth and almost an ode to your own farm. And of course, I'm talking about the track Wise Woman. I mean, tell me, what is this farm to you? Is it more than just land? Is there more to it than what meets the eye?
Totally. It started out as just land. Ever since I was a kid and seeing some of my heroes like Dave Matthews and Neil Young and Willie Nelson fight for family farmers and have these lifestyles based around farms, I thought, hey, if I ever make it in business, I'm going to get some land. But I didn't know that I was going to be a farmer. I just thought it would be nice to preserve and protect the land and be out in the country so I could be as weird and noisy as I want to be without someone behind my apartment wall telling me to shut up, which is what most of my life was like before I got the farm. And being the caretaker of the orchard that I got back in 2004, it transformed me. I didn't know anything about farming or gardening, but it was my responsibility as the landowner to determine the fate of the trees, because the trees are going to keep growing. They're going to need pruning. They're going to need feeding. They're going to need harvesting. We transition to organic, and it just takes a lot of input. And so you actually become integrated into the seasons. You become integrated into the growth of the trees, because anything in agriculture really is the work of previous generations of humans cultivating these fruits and putting them where they're at. I'm just part of that lineage of people who are caretaking these trees. The trees that I've planted since my ownership are going to outlive me, and some other young buck, know-it-all, is going to move out here and have their life in the dirt, so it's a beautiful thing. In the last 10 years, I became more interested in healthy food and being more climate aware. And I realized that the work that I do in my own backyard is just as valuable as saving rainforests, for example, because I could change the monocrop of avocados and diversify. We now grow over 40 different fruit varieties and probably hundreds of varieties of edibles, from flowers to herbs, vegetables, etc. So that was because when I first moved in, it was all avocados. We only had avocados basically once a year. It's a long season. It's about a 6-month season where they're fruiting, but there's another 6 months where we weren't getting anything. So I learned quickly that diversification would allow us to have fruits all year long. And then I also noticed, there's a lot more fruits out there than what you see at the grocery store. grocery store really just gets the top 10 of produce because they pack well and they travel well. But there's tens of thousands of different types of produce that exist that never make it to the grocery store. And when you grow, you get to play with those seeds and you get to play with those varieties, those heirloom varieties of weird fruits. So that's what we grow. We grow exotic and strange things like cherimoyas and dragon fruits, bananas, passion fruits.
Wait, can I hold you back? That cherimoya. What is a
Yeah.
cherimoya?
So it's a very fragile
This
food.
is stuff you're making up, right?
I wish there's a sapote fruit, which is also equally very cool as the cherimoya. And the cherimoya actually is so rare that it usually sells for about $8 a pound, which is very, very pricey for a piece of fruit. And they can weigh up to 2 to 4 pounds. So these big, beautiful, squishy, pineapple meets banana meets stinky socks. And I know that doesn't sound appeasing, but it makes a great fruitful tropical pudding. High sugar content. That's mostly what fruits are. We're growing sugar out here. We grow coffee, which is a new exotic for the United States because we've never grown coffee here, but we're proving that it works and it's delicious. But yeah, the cherimoya is wild. I don't know if they grow in Australia, but you know what? Oz has also some equally wild and exotic fruits and things. So we can be envious of each other.
I mean, to me, it sounds like your hands are so full with this farm. How do you find that balance between, releasing this album out into the world, your produce, your musical produce, and now you're taking it to the farmers market of the global music industry? I mean, how do you find that balance of staying happy at home in the farm and happy in the music scene?
Yeah, well, you just said it. I mean, usually there's a season for everything, and the farm taught me that. And in music, in the springtime, let's call it spring, I'm writing a lot of songs, throwing out a lot of ideas. And then a couple weeks into it, you realize, okay, these are strong. Let's work on these. So that's your studio. You're in the summer, you're cultivating these fruits. In the fall, you're ready to take it to the market and tour it and let people know what you've grown. And then in the winter, you shut down, you regenerate, you sleep before you start that process all over again. So I learned a lot about my music career from my farming seasons. But I will tell you, I've spent a lot of years having to leave here at inappropriate times, or I should say, at times when I really want to be on the farm because something I've waited 5 years to come to maturation, and then I have to leave and go on tour to promote an album. I shouldn't say have to, it's a privilege. It's the career I wanted. But it's like I have these two loves. I love playing music and going out there, but I also, love to see something flower and come to life. So right now, it seems that this lockdown is giving me, for the first time in 16 years that I've lived here, I'm probably actually finally going to be here for a full year to see the full seasons change, which I've never had. Maybe I had it once in 2006, but it's been a while because I usually travel. So I'm finally getting a chance to see everything flower and come to fruition and help out my farm crew who often sees me pack a suitcase and leave. But I'm also having to sacrifice putting my band together, going on the road and doing what we love to do. And it's the music that actually sustains my radical farming habit. I do think in 20 years, my farming will start to pay some of the bills, but right now music pays the bills.
It's amazing listening to you talk about this. It really does make sense now when you listen to Wise Woman. When you listen to your music, you can actually, and all now makes sense. I mean, I would like to talk about the music just before I do let you go, because Look for the Good is going to be an album that people eat like organic food. They're going to take it into their souls. They're going to listen to it and they're going to take something from it. And I think it's already having a positive effect on my day to day. So when you do get a chance to perform it live, what is that message that you're looking forward to most, bringing to the people when you can play it on a stage in front of others?
Freedom and joy. Freedom and joy. I mean, we all should experience freedom, and I'm your average white kid which means the system was designed for somebody like me to have a dream and go get it and succeed. But there's a lot of people on this planet where the system was not designed for them to be successful. And I wanted to continue to create works of art and breathe life into actions and programs that advance equality, that advance freedom for all, so that any kid out there who has a dream, I want to go do this, they have a clear path to go and experience that. And joy, you know, who doesn't want joy? Life is weird when by the time we kind of come online at 5, 6, 7 years old, we start to see and have life. We also learn about death really quickly and go, oh shit, like that's the outcome, like this is what's happening. And so all of life is almost this trying to skirt around pain and suffering and avoid death. And that can encroach on our joy, you know? And so if in our touring and in our art efforts, when we hit the road with this huge band of authentic reggae, we hope to really just light up the room and breathe life into each and every individual's personal expression or experience of freedom and joy. And obviously a concert's only going to last 2 or 3 hours or so. So whatever we can do in that 2 or 3 hours, hopefully, you know, it just carries on to the next moment. But, you know, concerts also begin the minute you buy your concert ticket. You know, you get that feeling of freedom and joy when you buy that ticket. Like, yes, I'm going to go.
100%.
And all, you know, anything's like that. A vacation is like that. You know, when you buy your ticket, you're on your way. So hopefully our show can kind of contribute to that level.
Yeah, and as someone who was at your 2009 show in Byron Bay for the
Cool.
20th anniversary of Blues and Roots,
Yeah,
I can say definitively that yes, your shows do have that effect. Now, I'd just like to say thank you so much, Jason, for having a chat with us while you're there in your farm. Almost, is this your studio that you're in?
Yes, I'm in my office studio.
This is where the magic happened, I believe.
This is one corner of it where a lot of the action, this is where most of the writing happens, is right here. I can access all my instruments and just breathe. I like to use the term breathe life. Did you know that the definition of inspire is to breathe life into? So when something inspiring happens, we all go, oh, you know, we literally are invited to breathe life into us, and we are renewed, we are regenerated. So I like to think about that when I'm working on something, because if you're breathing life into something, you are hopefully, it's going to inspire those who are going to observe or listen to your work. So anyway, this is where I work. And eventually when I get the songs right, I bring in professional musicians who can take my piano playing and take it up to the next level. And on this reggae album, man, we have the best of the best. And there's already some clips on YouTube of the whole band and myself playing these songs. And we just cannot wait to hit the road and bring this living, breathing, danceable machine to Byron Bay and to cities across Australia, cities across the world. I mean, I really hope I grow old doing this. And I feel like this new reggae outfit is a rebirth for me. It's a regeneration, and it's using my superpowers for good. I think music is a superpower, and I'm trying to use it for good. So I got some good players, and we're looking to hit the road soon.
Yeah, and I think the world is ready to breathe in Jason Mraz. We are ready to experience it.
They're not ready to breathe in me. I think we're all just ready to breathe in. We're ready to take those masks off and breathe in a diverse array of influences. You know, the world is changing, but I think it can change for the good during these times.
Yeah, especially if we look for the good.
Especially.
Well, Jason Mraz, thank you so much for joining us on Build in Isolation. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Danny. It was a pleasure talking to you too, my friend.